For most people, the first $100,000 isn't where wealth begins, it's where wealth quietly dies, because the biggest financial mistake you will ever make usually doesn't happen when you're broke. It happens right after you've finally made it. This is the story of what actually happens inside that moment, why it changes people, why it destroys most of them, and what the ones who get rich do differently, starting the second that number appears on the screen. 6 figures. For most people, it's not just a number, it's the number, the one that means you've arrived. No more paycheck to paycheck, no more checking your balance before you order coffee. Charlie Munger once said the first 100,000 is brutal, but once you have it, the math finally starts working for you instead of against you. That line has been repeated by more finance creators than almost any other, because it's true. Data from Fidelity's retirement research shows the first $100,000 saved takes the average investor over a decade. The second $100,000 takes less than half that time, not because people suddenly earn more, but because compounding has finally started pulling weight the saver used to carry alone. So the dream makes sense. Hit 6 figures, and the hardest part is behind you. Except that's not what the research actually shows happens next. Here's the part nobody explains. Your brain doesn't process $100,000 as capital, it processes it as a reward. Behavioral economists call this the brain's reward prediction system, the same circuitry that fires when you win, not when you invest. And a reward, psychologically, is something you're wired to spend, not protect. Layer on top of that a second force, hedonic adaptation, the well-documented tendency for any new level of comfort to become the new normal within months, no matter how good it felt at first. And a third, lifestyle signaling, the pull to make a milestone visible to other people, because status is a competition, not a private achievement. 3 forces, all firing at once, all pointed the same direction. Spend it, show it, feel it, right when the smartest move is to do nothing at all. This is the actual trap, not a bad decision, a predictable one. DALBAR's annual investor behavior study has tracked this pattern for over 25 years. The average investor consistently underperforms the market itself, not because the market is unpredictable, but because the investor's own behavior gets in the way. Buying high when confident, selling low when scared, spending exactly when they should be sitting still. This is where opportunity cost stops being a textbook term and starts being the real killer. Take that same $60,000, the price of the upgrade, the car, the apartment deposit, and instead invest it at a 10% average annual return, roughly the S&P 500's long-run historical average, according to JP Morgan's own market data. In 30 years, that $60,000 becomes over $1 million. The luxury SUV in the driveway didn't just cost $60,000. It quietly cost a future 7-figure portfolio. Nobody signs a bad decision like that on purpose. They just never see the second number, the one that never gets printed on a receipt. Person A hits $100,000, buys the car, upgrades the apartment. 5 years later, after payments and interest, their net worth sits at $120,000, barely above where they started. Person B hits the same $100,000, keeps the same apartment, invests it. 5 years later, their net worth is $190,000, without earning a single extra dollar of income. Same starting point, same amount of money, a $70,000 gap, created entirely by what happened in the following few months. Here's the whole thesis of this video. The average millionaire doesn't become wealthy because they earn more. They become wealthy because they refuse to interrupt compounding. Morgan Housel put it simply, money's greatest power isn't in the returns it generates, it's in the independence it quietly builds when it's left alone. Federal Reserve survey data backs this up at scale. The majority of self-made millionaires didn't get there through a single high-income breakthrough. They got there through decades of a widening, undisturbed gap between what they earned and what they touched. Loss aversion, the psychological principle that losing something hurts roughly twice as much as gaining the same amount feels good, usually gets blamed for making people too cautious. But here it works in reverse. The wealthy learn to apply that same fear not to losing money, but to losing time. Because every year compounding gets interrupted is a year that never comes back, at any price. The first $100,000 doesn't change your life because it's a lot of money. It changes your life because from this point forward, your money can finally start working harder than you do. The tragedy is that most people never give it the chance. If you want to see exactly how Person B's strategy plays out over the next 20 years, then subscribe.